This is War Room Moments, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and most relevant people on the planet, hear their stories, and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success, and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. War Room Moments is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board. Here's your host, Jason Miller.
Hey guys, welcome to War Room Moments. Today we have Amy on the call with us today. Amy, can you introduce yourself and tell everybody why you're so awesome?
My name is Amy Civica, and I usually have to give lessons on how to say my name compared to how it's spelled. So I'm so excited that I get to be here. And I am a psychology of eating coach, which means I help you with your relationship with food. I help you find joy in food. And I specifically work with business owners who want to match their health, because food is a big part of that, to their wealth.
Oh man, that's awesome. And I have an actual personal experience with Amy. Amy was our executive chef at one of our retreats, and she's awesome for sure. And she does such a wonderful job, and she makes herself part of the family in the event. And it's just amazing what you do. And I kind of want to carry that conversation forward from what you just said was, health and business, right? So as a topic to discuss, why is it so important? Why do you think it's so important to have this mixture of food and health and family and all these things? Why is that so important, do you think?
It's important because we all have a passion. We all have something that we want to give to the world. And mine happens to be food, which makes supporting myself easy because I already have that in play. But many of you who are intense business owners and you're taking your message out there, that's the last thing you think about. And yet it's the thing that if you had that in play, if you had that piece, you would be able to reach even more people. You would have more energy. And so being able to come to terms with what it takes to have that relationship with food, to feed yourself, to empower yourself is huge. And food brings in family, food brings in people and love, and it's a connection that we become disconnected from, and that shows up in our businesses sometimes. So I have a passion and a heart for really helping business owners, because I am one, I get that, to create that relationship that helps them and empowers them to go even further with their own message.
Yeah, that's powerful. And what would you, if you had to give advice to how to really bring people together with food, right? Because for me and my family, I mean, I'm still the traditional kind of guy. We sit down, we're going to have dinner as a family. There's no TV on, there's none of that stuff, right? And it's the same way in business when we do retreats or things like that. We come together and bring everybody together as a family. So I mean, I'd like to hear your thoughts on, what do you see as the trend today when it comes to how people are using food today versus, or maybe not even how they're using, but are they using it correctly, I guess, right? Maybe that's a better question.
Yeah. There's two things that come to mind. Number one is I am now seeing more and more networking groups gathering around a meal, because the conversation that you have is more powerful. Food, there's something incredibly intimate about it. And it's also relaxing. Like if you're sitting around an executive table, there's this energy. There's something about food that kind of brings it down. It's real. We're all eating. We're all need to nourish. We all love things about food. And it creates this energy of camaraderie and relaxation. And it really, cooking for your guys' retreat was awesome to see how having the meals ready for you, so that wasn't a stress on the environment itself or the event. And just the stuff that the conversations that we had, that I was invited to over meals, was just absolutely fabulous. And I think that there's a sense of openness that we can create by having meals and including those balanced energies in our networking things. And then the second part is personal, and that is food for us as a business owner. Most of us are very good at getting into breakfast, getting that, out the door. We got a shake, we do something, there's usually something easy, and then we skip lunch. And I have a whole, a whole presentation on why lunch leads your day. Like, you can be going, you're sailing, and then you're just trying to keep that energy because you don't want to stop for lunch, because that's going to slow your energy. When the reality is you get about an hour past that, and then you dive if you haven't eaten lunch. And if you will take that break, you will find you are more able to continue on that awesome launch that you're on. And so for groups, eating is important for creating that energy. For you personally, eating lunch leads your day.
Yeah. Well, I know I personally, lunch is very important to me, and even some kind of exercise type of activity in between all that, Absolutely. So, you talk about food, but food directly correlates with exercise, right? So, and we have like these crazy busy days all the time. And then we forget to stop and do some of the very basic things, right? And I mean, what you see today with how business owners are, how important is coupling both of those things together?
You're so right, because that individually brings our energy back into flow, if you will. If you're eating and you're stopping to eat, it's not eating on the run or eating at your desk, and you're giving yourself some time to get out for a walk or do some sort of exercise where you're stepping away from the momentum of the business, which we love, you actually give yourself more momentum in the long run.
Yeah, right. I know I can feel it, even though like I have a really good meal, and, my wife cooks great meals all the time. And
yes, but
I can feel it if I don't get that energy output. And that's why I force myself to stand most of the day.
Yeah.
Because sitting just like sucks the life out of you, right?
It does.
But food directly correlates with energy and exercise and all these things. Mm-hmm. And how would you take all of this and correlate all of this into a business struggle that you think that you've had over your life of your business?
Well, a struggle that I have is helping people eat lunch. And I'm just as guilty of it. So because I'm a business owner and I'm in that push to present my expertise to the world and to tell them what's going on, I often struggle with the same thing that I'm trying to teach. And so for me, incorporating those things in my own day-to-day business has been helpful. And I think that another huge thing is just your message. How do you get your message out to tell people what you're doing and why it's important? And for so many business owners, the very last thing that they have to pay attention to is themselves. So by being an example and making myself a priority in my own business, which is not easy, then I have been able to overcome that ability to then speak it to other people and be that example.
Yeah, right. That's like spot on too. How you correlate, because oftentimes I call it eating your own dog food, right? That's in this case, that's probably not a very good pun for you, but
my food's better than dog food.
Yeah, right. But I always correlate that to, as business owners, we can't do as I say, not as I do, right? We have to, we have to live that same life we preach. Well, for you, it's food. So if you're not taking care of yourself, And then people see that you can't take care of yourself. Why would they possibly think that you can take care of them?
Right. Or even listen to me.
Right. So it's the same way almost in any, form of business. Is we have to, in order for us to get our message across, we have to be practicing what we preach, right? And for me, food, exercise, business, relationships, all of that stuff all directly correlates to success. I mean, people don't really look at it that way, I don't think. I think it's a very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a very missed step in the process that people don't think about. Because we go meet somebody for coffee, or we go meet somebody for lunch, or whatever the case may be. And our lives have always kind of revolved around food, right? And it's what we do with it that matters. And then we're putting good things in our body that make us perform better, which I think it connects to the mind and how we function and operate, right? So
absolutely.
Anyway, any last thoughts on that?
Eat your lunch. Not at your desk.
Eat your lunch and not at your desk. You heard it from Amy. Eat your lunch and not at your desk. Well, cool. Well, hey, if you could have invited anybody today to this conversation that you think could have really affected the conversation, or somebody that really, really influenced your life, who would that be?
So the founder of the institute where I learned about the psychology of eating, his name is Mark David, and he's so phenomenal in his message. And every time I'm around him, his calming effect, as well as his open heart to people, is just amazing. And I would just soak up his energy, and anytime he's a part of a conversation, that would be awesome. I've never been on a one-to-one conversation, so if he was here with just the three of us, that would have been fabulous.
What's the one thing you would have asked him, do you think?
Oh my gosh.
If you would have one thing you would get to ask him, what do you think that would be?
There's too many. How do you stay calm? How does he just radiates this open heart to people, and I want to emulate that. So it would be, where do you find the patience sometimes?
Sure. Yeah.
For your people.
Right. Sometimes we could all use a little help in that area.
Right. Not be overwhelmed.
Part. There you go. Well, hey, tell the audience how do they get a hold of you? Where do they come find you? How do they come work with you? Tell everybody how they're going to get hold of awesome Amy.
Thank you. So I have a website. It's called thefoodisloveexperience.com. You can also find me, Amy Civica, on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. And I am open and willing and loving to talk to anybody who wants to change their relationship with food. I have two programs. One is a simplified, somebody's got most of their stuff together. They just need that little bit of extra support. And we meet weekly for that. And I also do a really cool thing. It's called a food intolerance test. And it is to help us kind of quickly get to the point of what is affecting your stomach and your intestines, and help us eliminate those foods without going through the dirge process of, let's eliminate this for 30 days and see how you feel. So it's kind of a jump start on what's affecting you. That's also a part of my larger program, which is to really dive deep into some emotional wounding that we have around food. Some of my clients have that. And that's a 6-month program that also is a VIP retreat with me anywhere in the world I might be, because I'm a traveling nomad right now. So it's those things. And then if by chance, my hobby is actually cooking for retreats. So if you have a fabulous retreat you'd like me to come cook for, I'm very open to that. It's just not something that I advertise, so you won't see that in any of my ads.
Right. Which I highly, highly recommend, because you did that for us. So that was really,
that was
really
so
awesome.
fun.
and it was a lot of fun for sure. Well, Amy, thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure, as always, to have you here and just get to see you and interact with you once again.
Thank you.
And hopefully we can get to that little family retreat that we've been trying to diligently plan. So anyway, thank you so much for being here. It was awesome.
My pleasure.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, thank you for joining War Room Moments. And remember to always believe it, dream it, and achieve it. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to War Room Moments with your host, Jason Miller. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we'll see you on the next episode.